Tom, my friend,
Mike, what's up? How you doing?
not too bad. Well, I say not too bad, but I do have a pretty good cold going on here, so I'm definitely a little out of sorts this morning. I slept in, I'm kind of feverish, and so yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
If I appear a little wackier than usual, that's probably the reason why. But
Good to
so
know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, well, you never know with me anyway, but anyway, Dom, we're doing kill list
Yep,
today, and
yep.
this is
We're doing the 2011 crime thriller folk horror movie Kill
yes,
List from
Dom's
a
pick.
husband and wife duo.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't.
directed by,
Yeah,
huh?
I was going to say I don't know anything on the background, so tell us.
Directed by Ben Wheatley and co-written by his wife Amy Jump.
Okay.
I was
Um,
surprised. This is a brutal film, and it
yes.
kind of surprised me. This was a husband and wife team that came
Yeah.
up with this.
Well, they're a brutal husband and wife team, but this is definitely one um, that I have mixed feelings about.
Yep, yep.
And
I get that.
I I definitely like watching the movie. Um, I don't know. Like I said, there were things about the movie, and I'm probably a more accepting film watcher than you are even, and things that some people might really get turned off to or whatever. I A lot of times it's like that's why I like the movie, but so like I said, I really mixed feelings about it. Um, and on the one hand, I kind of like the story.
Yes.
I like how the story, it's the basic story. Um, I really didn't give you a chance to go too far into it, but the basic story is there's a duo that is they're hitmen.
Ex-military turned hitman.
Yeah, and that was I think one of the things that I had a problem with because they make references to their time in Iraq, I believe, and and they talk about their military experiences, and you get the impression that they probably were special ops or something like that. But they're in many ways they're pretty inept in how they
Yeah, they
carry
did.
out.
They did not act like special ops. I got the sense they were just basic grunts that saw a lot of action.
Yeah, it might have been, but like I said, I don't know. It made me feel like they had. I mean, it seemed like they had definitely seen some heavy action
Hmm.
because and at least one of them seemed a little more traumatized, probably both of them,
Uh,
by what they had
Given
gone
where
through.
this conversation is going, I think I should give the description of the movie for
Sure.
those who have not seen it. So, Kill List follows this pair of ex-military turned hitmen that have fallen on hard times. They're running out of money. They've got certain scars, both physical and non-physical, from their tours of duty.
Yeah.
Uh, and now they're going in for one last job. It's paying a lot of money. It's set up by a shadowy, mysterious client, and they're given a list with three names on it that they have to kill. And each one becomes increasingly both weird and turning at least one of this pair obsessed and violent, like insanely violent, to his own detriment, violent. And the whole thing culminates in a brutal and deadly finale. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, I kind of I kind of had the impression that supposedly they had some kind of special ops background and that they were kind of almost bragging about their previous background.
They
There's a
definitely saw themselves as warriors.
Yeah, and probably better than they really were. Um,
Hmm. Definitely. They
there's a
really
scene.
were.
Well, apparently the because they're both married, and the couples know each other and sometimes hang out with each other. And although the one scene, um, the guy I would call the main character, which this guy
Yeah, the main
here,
character is Jay, played by Neil Maskell. And that's one of the reasons I first watched this movie is because I love Maskell as an actor. I've liked him in everything I've seen him in.
yeah. Well, I know there's one scene where they're getting together to have dinner, and he finds out that they're having dinner, and he seems reluctant to want to do the get together. And when they do have dinner together, um, there's a lot of tension between the husband and wives.
A
And
lot of tension.
it's yeah, it's like
That's an understatement.
yeah, and it's surprise like like the one couple almost seemed like they were a little bit better, and then you start seeing the cracks in the armor on them too. Um, but yeah, like the this main guy here you're talking about, he at one point Iraq is brought up, and the wife makes a comment about like, well, Iraq's over, like it's a non thing now, and he like throws his plate against the wall. He's being extremely violent, and to the point where she leaves the room because she can't take it. And it's you see he's got a real violent side to him, and I mean a scary violent side, and
Well,
frightens him.
I think it's pretty clear he was trying to demonstrate PTSD.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
because he would fly off the handle at the littlest things.
right. Well, and yeah, he made a real case for having PTSD,
Hmm.
um, and including most people don't get into a profession like that to begin with, and they didn't really go too heavy into the details of how they got into that
No, so
profession.
one of the things I read about the director Ben Wheatley is
Yeah,
he hates exposition. He
well,
hates
yeah, I could
giving
see.
information about the story, and so he just doesn't do it.
Right. Well, I often like that. I often like the fact that a movie allows you to take it where you want to take it.
Yes.
Some people can't stand that. Some people have to have everything spelled out for them. And in many ways, I kind of prefer it when you're left to your own devices.
But
However,
this movie takes it to an extreme in a
it
way.
does, and I think to the detriment of the movie. It's the movie would have benefited. I never like I see a lot of times on online people, you'll see the question of um what did the ending mean? What
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like people asking questions about and it's like you can't figure that out for yourself. It's like really you need someone to you know, pat you on the head and rub your back and burp you. It's like, come on, some stuff is, but this movie actually, there were things in this movie that I was like, wow, some of those
In
holes.
this movie, they really don't want you to know exactly what's going on,
Yeah.
even
But,
after it's over.
well, I actually read a thing on the ending of the movie, and um, one of the things, we're called spoiler alert, folks, and probably a lot of people maybe that are watching this now haven't seen this movie. This is one movie we did Saturday Night Fever. I think it was last week,
Last
but
week.
yeah, but movie like that, you figure probably most people have seen it. Um, if you're a film fan, you've probably seen it. This movie, all's forgiven if you've never seen this movie.
Yeah, this is a very under the radar, unknown
Yeah,
movie, and
it,
probably for a good reason. I cannot advise this movie to most people.
yeah. It's. I mean, I started watching this movie, and I have almost no problem. when it comes to like violence and like a heavy-handed film. There was some stuff in this movie I was like, geez. I mean, you see, and this is something anyone that wants to see this movie, be prepared for a lot of violence. There's a scene with a hammer, and
There's graphic torture scenes in here.
yeah, there's like way like they don't these guys. I didn't see these guys as being professional hitmen at all.
Oh no, no,
Um,
no. They are
they
not.
like the way that they kill people is completely unprofessional. And in fact, one of the reasons why things went south in this movie is because of the incredibly inept method that they had for taking out the last kill that they had. And this guy tells them, if you do this one last kill, you can walk away. And I don't think he ever intended for them to walk away from it.
Oh no, no. There was
Um,
no
but yeah,
intention of that.
it was which is kind of spelled out a little bit more later. But the and again, we're spoiler alert. We're definitely gonna spoil it with this one. But
We're going to spoil the very last scene. There's a twist
yeah,
at the very end that is a spoiler. But for the
yeah,
most part of the movie, this is again, I've said this quite a bit. This is a movie that's more about the experience than the story. And
yeah, I
so,
guess
except for the last scene, we could describe the entire movie in detail and still not ruin it for you.
that's probably true. That's probably true because um, there's so much going on, and it's confusing enough what's going on. I mean,
Purposefully so.
yeah, we might not even be describing it correctly because
Because
it
everyone's going to walk away seeing a different movie.
yeah, it's open to interpretation. But yeah, of the two guys, one of them is definitely, I would say, more violent and in some ways a little bit less professional. The dude that's behind Dom there, not the one directly
The one
behind
in
him,
the
but
white shirt.
yes, he's the one that probably is the least professional in the movie, although he manages to last longer. But I do also think that it's because of what he did at this last kill that actually brought about their demise. Because
But I mean, I think the way I interpreted this movie, this guy's destiny was determined from the beginning. The strings were all being pulled around him to a conclusion he couldn't escape.
you could you could you could make an argument for that.
Mhm.
I you I also saw like a lot of parallels to Wicker Man, the original
Yes,
Wicker Man.
that was a big that was a big influence.
Yeah,
The character has said as much.
well, I'm sure because I could really see it, even down to this last scene. This is where the last kill comes in. I was never totally sure whether they were originally just supposed to kill this leader that's right behind
My
me,
interpretation is that was the original intent of the list.
but if so, they made a really stupid move
Oh, really dumb
because,
move.
well, I mean, there was a lot of people there, a lot of people,
But
and to
even if there were just a few people there, again, for professional hitmen, you've got a plan. And if
yeah,
anything messes up that plan, you drop it and come back at a later date.
yeah, you drop back and punt, and which they, and again, this is where the guy was out of control. Excuse me, I definitely have a cold. But but yeah, he at one point, and he brings a rifle, and that was another thing I had an issue with because um, in the hands, a lot of times, people talk about different rifles like ARs and stuff like that. In the wrong hands, they're not that effective. That probably you'd be better off with a hunting rifle than you would uh, a bolt action hunting rifle than you would some of these people that they think, oh, just because it's high capacity, but that means nothing if you can't hit what you're shooting at. And these guys should have been somebody that would have been trained in how to use
Well, I mean,
it.
a lot of their shots hit their mark pretty well.
Some of them did. I
I
felt,
don't think their aim was what was the real problem.
yeah. Well, they definitely had a problem with a lot of people coming at them, which again, the guy that's directly behind you says to the violent guy, Jay, I guess his name is.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
that's Gal and Jay.
yeah, he says, I think like there's too many people, and
And
instead
he
of
was
saying, okay,
he had a great assessment of the situation.
yeah, absolutely, and instead of saying, okay, well, let's pull back and we'll take care of this. I mean, take the guy out when he's getting in his car on his way to
But I
work.
mean that we saw sign after sign of how out of control that guy is. When they take out the librarian,
Yeah,
he tortures the librarian into telling him who made those movies.
yeah,
And they were even being paid for that hit. The guy said, "Why are we making this extra work for ourselves?"
yeah, yeah,
And so that was almost a pointless kill.
yeah. And the last thing, I am not a hitman. I've never been a hitman, and I never want to be a hitman. And I couldn't do it morally. I couldn't do a job like that. But as far as but as far as you know what you're if you're doing that job, and you're especially if you're working with a partner, the idea that that partner has to be completely and utterly reliable, somebody that you never have to worry that they're going to get you into some kind of a mess or make the situation worse. This guy is a complete loose cannon, and the idea that to be I would have told that guy a long time ago, I'm not working with you. You're a nut, and I don't work with nuts. I don't work with people that are going to get me caught, or this
Well,
guy was
I know,
just,
but these two have some sort of bond.
oh,
He
they have a
hangs
back.
around that guy. He
Yeah.
hangs around Jay, and Jay punches him at the drop of a hat. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
he
No,
gets into
they
fights all the time.
well, and that's one of the things too that like was really one of the things that really bugged me about the movie. There are several times where these two get into physical fights,
Mhm.
and it's like it's ridiculous that you've got guys that are in a deadly profession like this, and
But like
they're
you said, very non-professional.
extremely so.
They're like
And
hobbyists.
yeah, it's like I said, there were so many things that bothered me about the movie, but again, like I said, I understood it to a certain point, but man, it's like it's one thing if you're in the military and you're sitting around a base and you're just cutting up and having a tussle, but they're doing some of this stuff in the middle of jobs. They're getting into, it's like you just can't operate like that. So I had a problem. I had a real problem with it.
Mhm.
But
But I mean, you're supposed to see the main character as kind of a screw up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, I just found myself looking at the two of them and thinking these two can't be hitmen. These two, and like his
And
I
that's
went
the
into it
thing.
with the yeah, go
They're
ahead.
not hitmen. They're killers.
Yeah, I guess.
And there is a
Yeah,
distinction.
there is, but that's not the way I felt it was presented. I felt it was presented as these two guys are being hired to do hitman jobs. And this last job, like I said, they killed the guy.
But given how the jobs went, you realize that they weren't really hired to kill those people.
Well, I don't
It was
know.
part of a huge, intricate plan that
Yeah,
involved
I mean,
multiple
yeah,
people. They were just placed in those roles to make the
yeah.
rest of the plan happen.
Well, yeah, you kind of realize it later, but
I
I
mean,
mean,
the victims thanked them for killing them.
yeah, I mean, it was like I said, I felt like um what you were. what you were saying, it was murky at best, and
Mm.
then as far as like the ultimate finale too, I like that was so murky, because the very last part, um, of course they do a messy hit. They take the main guy out there they're supposed to be taking out, and then they end up and with that rifle that he was holding, um, a skilled rifleman probably could have taken down enough of those lead people that they would have easily. And the other thing is they end up in a tunnel. It's kind of like a sewer tunnel, and they mess that up too, because they have the man that's directly behind you, Gal. Um, he's he's in the lead, so he's got his back to the nut job there, Jay, and Jay's got the rifle, and in that tunnel, man, he easily could have taken those people out one at a time, and if I presume he would have had enough loaded magazines on him, he easily could have taken down that entire group in the tunnel. That was a perfect place to mow down. Uh, uh, they weren't armed with anything but
Knives,
bludgeoning
really.
weapons, and yeah, they had weapons, stabbing, bludgeoning weapons. They
They
didn't
had the
have,
home court advantage, though.
they sure did, and they also got in behind because, and that's what ultimately killed Gal, because they came at him. He emptied his pistol, and I assume he wasn't able to change the magazine, or he didn't have another magazine. But they got him and they bludgeoned him down, and so he ended up having to
Th-
kill his own friend because
This is by no means a perfect movie.
no.
In many ways confusing. Certain parts of it drag on. Um, it's hard to make sense out of parts of it, but I love the way it was put together. It was put together to cause maximum confusion in the audience, and I think it does its job.
Oh, it definitely does that. One of the problems that I had, of course, and that's another thing, is I could see that coming a mile away. And he's taken down like way too easily. Goes outside and they basically knock him on the head. Um, he's after he gets back to his place, he tells his wife, "Yeah, these people are coming for us," and he gives her a pistol, which she doesn't apparently use very well at all. Um, and he gets knocked out, and
No, no,
they
she took a few people down.
yeah, I guess, yeah, she probably did better than he did.
I think she
Um,
did.
but and once again, like I said, I just felt like he was so inept that it just really bugged me. But anyway, so ultimately what ends up happening is he wakes up. He's in the picture that's directly behind me, which you can't see that well, but he is. They put a mask
His
on him.
top is stripped off him.
Yeah,
They slap this mask on him, and I think they even duct tape a knife in his hand.
yeah, yeah. So he, but I could see it coming a mile away. It's like I knew it was going to happen, and I mean, it was a little bit of all the murkiness to this movie. That was the one thing that I thought to myself, yeah, I know what's happening here. Um, and oddly enough, like I said, I'm not so sure like how much his wife knew, but basically he's fighting his wife to the death. Um, and
Uh,
I
uh,
didn't even
and,
I
and we
didn't
don't
even
know. I like to believe she did know that she was in on the plan from
well
years before.
the other thing that was weird was they had the kid, because they made it look like she was a hunchback. They were
Hmm.
calling her the hunchback, and I didn't even realize it at the time, but they had the kid strapped on her back.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know. I've known enough mamas that mamas would really not turn. and she whirls around a few times, and to the point where the kid is exposed, and he ends up killing his own kid and then killing her. Um, but but like a mama bear would not be turning their, that would be the one thing they would never do is
An ordinary one, yes. Someone that has become evil and dedicated their life to this death cult, all bets are off.
I guess, but it's she's she didn't seem lacking in that department. She seemed more lacking in the just the moral code of what they were doing for a living. But anyway, this, like I said, weird. We don't really have to go too far into the whole thing. I did end up going online because I was a little bit confused about um, like the kid dying. I didn't realize that it was actually the kid strapped to her back. I
Yep.
did see the kid laying there, but I was like, well, where did he fit on or onto that? And then I kind of realized like, oh, he was strapped on, and that made it even more like unbelievable to me. So, like I said, there were things about all of this that I really had a problem with.
It's funny because the director said he based that scene on actual ritual executions that
Really,
have been
yeah.
written down from history.
Well, I'm not up on a lot of ritual uh, killings or sacrifices or whatever. Um, I'm a big fan of the original Wicker Man, and I say the original Wicker Man, um, the the sequel to the Wicker Man with Nick Cage.
Well, that's
I
not that was a remake, not a sequel.
Well, yeah, that was, yeah, that's true. It was a remake. I'm like I said, I've got a
Yeah,
cold going
yeah.
on here, but anyway, I watched that one more for a laugh than anything because I there's so much.
Oh, I couldn't stop laughing at
Oh
it.
my God, there's so much. Un,
The bees are in my eyes.
yeah, oh yeah, the unintentional humor that's in that movie is hysterical, and I kind of like the movie. Like a lot, when Nick Cage makes a bad movie, it's sometimes a good movie just because he gives you so much entertainment. I mean, I have to love Nick
Have
Cage.
we done a Nick Cage movie yet?
I don't think we have, and we owe it to ourselves and
We
to
really
the audience.
do.
Yeah, we need to do a Nick Cage movie. So so yeah, let's concentrate on getting that done. But this soon. But as far the comparisons to the Wicker Man are very strong. I think the Wicker Man was so much better of a movie. Um, there are things, as much as I've criticized this, and I do criticize it. The things that bug me to the point where it really I couldn't have finished this movie if I was making the film. I couldn't have finished the movie without fixing some of those things. However, there are things about it that I like. I like the fact that they maybe went in a little bit of a different direction. Um, and I could have done with a little less violence, but I understand why it was there. Um, and violence to me in a film, I have no problem with when it's used correctly. Um, and some movies do overplay violence. This one did it to a certain point, but I also understood it because
It
they really
demonstrates.
wanted to. Well, they wanted to show how out of control Jay
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
So
totally.
without that, you would not have. It wouldn't have made sense to show the last scenes of the film and where that was going if you hadn't shown how out of control he was. So yeah, that I think is was crucial and necessary. But your thoughts?
Well, so let me tell you um, some of the things I really liked about the movie, and and I am going to say I think I've got a bit of an edge with this movie because you kind of need to see it multiple times.
I don't know if I could. Um, I'd have to wait. I have to wait
Oh,
six
oh,
months,
exactly. Yeah. You
6 months, a
gotta give
year.
this some time.
Yeah,
Um, but like the tricks this director used, the um uh the soundtrack made use of infrasound.
it made use of what now?
It made use of infrasound,
Okay,
which is sound that is so it's such a long wavelength, it's such a low frequency that the human ear can't detect it, but you can still feel it in your body, and it creates feelings of fear and awe that you don't know what to attribute it to.
but didn't Saturday Night Fever do that? I'm kidding.
Actually,
Go ahead.
the technology was not even around when Saturday Night Fever came out.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Um, no, I didn't. Well, I that was something I did not know. So
The director would hide that symbol in
yes.
out of the way places. So
Oh,
you might
okay.
have seen it on screen for like a second, a split second,
Yeah.
but that symbol starts showing up everywhere
Yeah.
throughout the film.
Yeah. I did not realize it, but that it makes a lot of sense, and it's actually so yes, in that aspect, I think you're probably right. You do need to watch this, more than
The
once for sure.
the camera work was purposefully shaky. It was almost all handheld
Yeah.
and also purposefully either painfully close or off center.
Yeah. And I love a handheld camera. I think I mean, it can be overused sometimes, but I love seeing that used effectively. I mean, as much I know a lot of people nowadays are really critical of like the Blair Witch, the original Blair Witch. I really enjoyed it when it came out. I thought it was a cool, newer type of movie. It's been done to death in more recent years,
Oh yeah.
but I enjoyed it, and hey, it was very popular at the box office. For all the people criticizing it nowadays, it was very popular. That movie cleaned up, and I love the fact that they used handheld cameras. They made it. Of course, they were trying to make it look like it was all done by the by
Right.
the
That's what a found footage thing is
yeah,
about.
but at the same time, that's something that when you're using that technique done right, it works because it puts you right there in the scenes and the picture like it's actually happening. But but
Uh,
no, is
that's
that
the
the
Christian group.
okay?
You remember that scene?
Yes, I do. The scene where he goes up and pulls the guy's guitar out, which and basically just slaps him around a little bit and throws his guitar and uh, no, that was actually one of the more humorous uh,
Yep.
scenes in the film, but uh, as out of control as it was, and the guy in the check shirt is actually wearing the same shirt I'm wearing. The guy there on the end is the one with the guitar that ends up taking the abuse for the whole group. But and David Crosby there on your your other side. Uh, I'm joking, but he could be David Crosby. No, um, I like the movie. I have a lot of problems with it.
Yeah,
Um,
understood. Understood. Again, this movie is not for everyone. Um, I love folk horror.
yeah,
And so just this shadowy occult, this reminds me a lot of both The Empty Man
yeah,
and Hereditary, where
yeah,
you've got these cults that are pulling things or manipulating things behind the scenes
yeah,
to focus on this one person, to make this one person their focus. And either it's whether it's going to elevate them to be their leader or whether it's going to make that person become their scapegoat or their sacrifice ultimately. You don't always know. But I love I love horror that makes that the main character, he's not being chased by a monster. He's not being you know, set upon by evil forces, he's the one walking to the danger. He's being tricked and manipulated to come to the sacrificial altar himself.
What, right, which is basically the plot of the Wicker Man. Um, but as far as I agree with you, like I do like those type of films, and you have presented a few of them to us, and and I don't always love them completely, but I usually like aspects of them. Um, The Empty Man, several of those that you've brought out, I have really enjoyed, and even though I had criticisms of them, and this one I probably have a little bit more
Yeah,
um, criticism for the film, partly because I think it was a slightly missed opportunity. I think that like this group, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a sinister um, aspect that was popping up, and maybe when you re-see it, you would notice it even more so. As far as the way it ended, um, I would have liked that to have been a little bit more. Um, you watch a movie like Rosemary's Baby. There's a real element at the end of like, oh my God, this woman is in like a terrible, terrible situation. These evil people are all around her. Her kid is all fucked up evil, and they're expecting her to be the mommy for the kid. It was such a level of true evil at the end that you're like, fuck, like what she's really in a bad spot here. And and I would have liked that maybe to have been a little bit more apparent at the end, especially
so
where he survives and they're telling him, "Yeah, you're the new leader." Basically, as they're telling him that he's been chosen all the way through as this new leader. Why they would choose somebody who's so out of control, I don't
well,
know.
I don't think he's going to be the leader. I think he's going to be their servant. He's going to be their death dealer.
I guess
He's going to go out and kill for them anyone they point him to.
yeah, I guess like at their little sacrificial ceremonies, I guess he's the perfect one to bring out and have him dispatch people. But but I don't know. I got the message that they were like, that's why they had him take out this guy here, because he was the death dealer, leader, whatever you want to call him. And I felt like that's who they were setting up for the new leader was him. And that's why they had him kill off his entire family, his operation. Uh, everything was gone. His entire background was gone, so he could serve this cult. But once again, I would have liked, I don't know, I would have liked a little more. And I kind of get it in the sense of you're dealing with a budget film, and there's only so much you can do. But
Yeah, this was
yeah,
made on $800,000.
oh my God, really? Well,
Yeah,
that actually gives me a little bit more respect for it too, because that's pennies. When you're talking about making a movie, you
eight
can
hundred thousand dollars filmed in 18 days,
wow.
and
Okay, yeah.
half the script was improvised.
Well, I have to say that does give me a little bit more respect for it too, because that's an insanely low amount of money. And the fact that anybody can get anything made nowadays on that kind of a budget, I mean, if you think to yourself, if you're somebody that has never made a movie, I have never made a movie, but if you're someone that has never made a movie and you think to yourself, oh, $800,000, I can make a movie on that. Maybe you can, but it probably won't be any good. Um, and and this one looked like it was a much higher budget than 800,000. I've seen much worse films made for a lot more. So so I
Yes,
will
so
give it a lot of credit just for that.
the actors during interviews, they would say they would get their script and they'd contact the director. I think there was an error in printing. I'm missing all these pages. He's like, no, no, no.
Yeah, yeah,
You don't get to know that scene yet.
yeah,
Or or we want you to just make up that dialogue. So they would film a scene according to the script, and then they would refilm the same scene, mostly improvised.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, as doughy as this guy's body was, and in this fight scene here, I was expecting him to have to fight Chris Elliott. I don't know if you remember Chris Elliott from the Chris Elliott show, and he
I
used to be
do. I
on
remember Chris.
Letterman. He had that same kind of doughy body, and they he loved taking off his shirt. And I thought to myself, wow, he's going to have to fight Chris Elliott here when he came out. But no, like I said, there's things about this that I truly liked. Um, if they were going to that last hit too, I think the last hit was one of the things that really bugged me. If they were going to that last hit, this particular rifle he's holding here is not the same rifle that he was using to take out that leader. The other one was so if instead he had his partner carry that rifle and he had carried the other, they probably would have got out of that entirely scot free. Um, they would probably
I
would have been
still don't. I don't think that was ever going to happen. I think he could have done everything right, and there was such a nefarious plan
right.
set up.
Well, yes. The other thing is, it reminded me a little. These two reminded me a little bit of Don Knotts and Tim Conway.
Yeah, and uber violent,
Yes.
murderous
Yeah, yeah,
John
yeah. If,
Dodson.
if if those two were actually violent to that level in a Disney
Now we
movie,
need to remake the Apple Dumpling
yes,
Gang.
exactly. The Apple
You
Dumpling
thought you
Gang
knew
rides
the Apple Dumpling
rides
Gang.
again and again.
I mean, they're doing it with Winnie the Pooh and Popeye and Mickey Mouse. Why not the Apple Dumpling Gang?
Why not? Why not? I would love to see a. I would love to see a.
A
It's
nightmare
too bad.
version.
It's past the time because we've lost both of them. But yeah, like I said, hey, I always liked those. I always liked those Tim Conway and Don Knotts movies. I thought they were that the level of silliness. So these
I
two,
mean, that pair, they're equal to Laurel and Hardy. They're up there with the Marx Brothers, I'd even
yeah,
say.
yeah. There's some true. Even when the comedy's bad, it's still funny and good. I truly enjoy that and these two could have benefited a little bit from that same comedy aspect. But I'm joking. However, like I said, um, I did see some ineptness with these two that kind of threw me enough that I thought to myself, "Wow, these two are just like really bad." But again, you throwing out the budget gives me a lot more respect for the film and the filmmaking. Um, because man, if they had doubled that budget, that still would have been a paltry sum to make a film on. And
You're not alone in your criticism. I mean, this is rated at a 6.3 on IMDb. So by no means
that's actually pretty good.
it's not glowing. At the box office, it got crushed. It made half its budget. It made four hundred
Yeah.
thousand dollars at the
Yeah, but I
box
mean, how many theaters did this really get shown in?
True.
This is a
I
movie.
think just a few film festivals and that's it.
Yeah, this movie was up against it from the beginning. There's no way they were getting the promotion for it. You just weren't getting, the actors weren't appearing on, whatever the latest talk show. We don't have the Tonight Show. We don't have Jay Leno anymore. We have Jimmy Fallon and whoever. But
So
but
any of your criticisms are valid.
yeah, I believe so. I certainly don't try to be.
I
I don't try to be unjust.
and I'm not going to make any claims that this is a great movie
Yeah,
by any means, but I love this movie for one reason, and that's because it's its own thing. There's not much else quite like it.
yeah. It's the closest thing would be
The
something like
Wicker
The
Man,
Wicker Man,
which you
and
said was a direct inspiration.
yeah, and I don't think they were ripping off The Wicker Man. So
No,
as many references I've made to it, I don't think they were ripping it off. They just had a group that was a pagan like group like the group in The Wicker Man.
if
Um,
anything, I'd almost say that The Empty Man copied this movie.
that could be. Was that made? Was The Empty Man made after this?
Oh yeah, this was 2011, and The Empty Man, if I recall, it was like 2019.
Huh. Huh. Okay. Well, yeah, like I said, um, I like what they even some of the things that they put together, like the straw mask, things like that. Some of the background pieces. Um, I think they were, you try making some of those masks. They're not that easy to put together. So I like what they did uh, with certain aspects of it. I mean, even just hey, when you're dealing with a budget, even the gun scenes to obtain, and I assume this was shot in England.
I assume that as well, but I've been having trouble finding where this was filmed. I mean, it really looks like England, so
Yeah,
I'm assuming it's England.
I'm assuming it's some British area, whether it's somewhere in the UK. But yeah, like I said, I feel like this probably would have been a harder film to make there even than here. Um, so so yeah, like I said, I'll give it I'll give it credit, I think, where credit's due. Um, I just wish it was a little bit better. But
Yeah.
looking at the budget, I understand um, why the film is what it is. So once again,
Well,
um,
and it seems like we're there. So this is my pick. I'm giving it two thumbs up, but more for the way this movie was made than the actual movie itself.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah, and as far as I'm going to give it 1.5. Um,
Okay.
so I can't quite give it two. Um, it to me it lacked just enough that it entertained me, and knowing the budget, knowing what they were dealing with, it makes me want to give it two, but I can't quite give it two. I'll give it 1.5, and it
That's
was
valid.
yeah it was not quite a two thumb movie. It was um, again, like I said, there were aspects of it I liked. It's very violent. Just be forewarned if you decide to watch this movie. I think it's worth a look. I definitely think it's worth a look.
I will still say this movie is not for everyone,
No, if you're someone that can't handle a lot of violence,
or a
there's a
lot of
couple.
ambiguity.
Yeah, there's a couple of scenes with hammers that that are hard to watch if you're So just be forewarned. However, I think it's worth a look. I think it's entertaining. I've seen a lot of movies with bigger budgets that didn't come close to being as entertaining as this. So yeah, I can't quite give it a two, but I will say entertaining, valid movie. I'm glad I saw it. That's all I really have to say about it. Um, I don't know the actors enough in this one. Um,
Yeah, I encourage anyone to check out Neil Maskell's stuff. No one plays a dead-eyed psychopath quite like him.
yeah, well, he did a good job in this. And I mean, hey, I think both leads did a good job. Um,
Yeah, Michael Smiley was the other guy, the partner, and he actually won Best Supporting Actor for this.
huh, huh. Well, it's well acted. I think both female leads in this were the female co-stars, whatever they were both terrific. Nobody like you see some movies and it's like, man, why did they cast this person? You don't get that at all. It's well cast. It's well
This movie
acted.
was written with those two in mind.
Really.
There was no auditions.
Well, like I said, it's well done. And again, especially on that budget. Um, I I would say for, usually at this point we're throwing out whether or not like can you recommend people watching it? Like Dom said, it definitely um it's not for everyone. If you can't handle violence, it's probably not your cup of tea. If if you like a movie that has some kind of cool aspects of it's taking you in a direction you're not necessarily knowing that it's going in. Um, and there's some twists in it, which is fun. So, like I said, I think it's a kind of a cool movie to see. It's a
And it's
little
on
bit,
Tubi.
yeah, I couldn't find it anywhere else, but it definitely is definitely on Tubi. And having said all that, uh, I'm
Mike,
sorry I was under the weather. This week, and I probably didn't give it my best. But Dom, as far as next week,
yeah, what is
I
it?
I do have this. That was Dom's pick for this week. For next week, I probably would have picked something different. However, we had a recommendation.
Oh,
Yes, and because of that, um, and this was actually Pat's rec Pat's recommendation. She recommended Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
oh, okay. That's a
So,
fun one. That's a great
so
one to follow this with.
I was gonna say the one area because I actually had something in mind, and I chose to skip it because um, I thought, well, we did get the recommendation, and this is a fun movie, and it's probably a good one, yes, to follow this with the heaviness of this, and even the heaviness that is sort of in Saturday Night Fever, which was the previous one. Um, it probably is a good fun watch for Fast Times at Ridgemont High. This is a movie that growing up, um, watching that movie at the theater, it was such a movie of the '80s and of my generation, um, that it's kind of fun because it definitely epitomizes what a lot of the young people were at that time.
And a shockingly good cast.
Yes, it had so many rising young stars
Yes,
that turned out to be major stars. It's a movie that stars Judge Reinhold, Phoebe Cates. Um,
Sean
um,
Penn.
what's that? Yes,
Sean
it's
Penn.
Sean Penn, and Sean Penn in a breakout role that actually made him. Jennifer Jason Leigh is in the movie. It's Mr. Hand.
Oh,
Uh,
Mr. Hand is great.
he is so good. My favorite Martian is in this movie. He's Mr.
I
Hand.
swear we'll know his actual name by next
Yeah,
week.
well, I know his name and I can't even think of it right. Like I said, I'm so foggy with this cold. But no, there's so many stars in this movie. and so many little co-star roles too. But it's a terrific film. It's very funny. There's a few little heavy things in it too, but for the most part, it's just a lot of fun and funny as hell. Some real cute girls in it too, and there's just a lot of fun in this movie. You'll
I'm willing to bet this is on Tubi as well. I haven't looked, but
It's yeah, I know I have it on Voodoo, but and I know I've got the disc too, but as far as anyone, if you really haven't seen this movie, you really owe it to yourself. Check the movie out before we come back next week with this movie. Check it out because this to me is a must watch. If you like comedy and you like crazy, fun, silly comedy,
I think it's a great movie. I wouldn't call it a must watch, but
I would. I definitely this is a movie that to me, um, man, for comedies, and there's not that many really funny comedies. This is a
what are you
comedy,
talking about? There are some hilarious comedies.
sure, but there's as far as far it's hard, especially nowadays. Uh, think of like think of some of the great like really funny comedies. Um, there's a lot of junkers, a lot of bombs, a lot of ones that are missed. They're missed shots that could have been so much better. Um, I see that so much with comedy. So when I see one that I really find endearing and stands the test of time, that's the other thing. So we'll see whether you think that Fast Times at Ridgemont High stands the test of time. I don't know how long ago.
I will be curious about that. It's easily been over 10 years, probably over 15.
Yeah. So anybody out there, if you've never seen it or if you haven't seen it in a long time, check it out and tune in with us next week because we're going to do Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And once again, like I said, I think anybody that if you haven't seen it, you owe it to yourself. Check this out.
We're going back to the 80s.
Yeah, going back to the 80s, the mid 80s on top of it. Think what was it, 84 or something like that?
Oh, I couldn't tell you the exact year.
Yeah, something like that. I think I'm in the right neighborhood anyway. But everyone, join us next week. So, Dom, it's been fun. Uh,
Always fun.
Hopefully, I'm in better condition next week. So,
Yeah, get rest.
I
Plenty of
will
hydration.
I plan on getting rest tonight because I have to work tomorrow night. But I really plan on. There might be some whiskey involved tonight. Uh, I might have some whiskey in my tea tonight. But folks, I will see you guys next week. Dom, love you, buddy. Take care. I will
See
see you
y'all.
next week. So long.